This is the ribbon screen. It allows you to easily um, set up the ribbons. So I'm going to show you how this works. I have three sample ribbons here, but we're going to create a new one. So first you come up with a name for the ribbon. It cannot have any spaces, but even if you add it, or special characters, but even if you add some, they will be removed. You see it took out everything except letters and numbers. So, but let's come up with a nice name. And once you do that, on the bottom, you now have a place to put the tabs. So the tabs are these. I have two tabs on this ribbon. You can have more than two. You can have one. Um, Up to you. So, and if you and you can see that it's already prefixed with the tab. You don't have to do that, but because there's going to be a name for the tab, for the groups, for the buttons, it's cleaner if they all prefix so that you know which name is what. So we're going to create two tabs. You see, I just try to create two tabs with the same names, and it's not allowing me to do that. That's because you're not allowed to have the same name in one ribbon. So um and then for the labels, you can have spaces, you can have anything you want. The labels are these right here. And then for each tab, you have to come up with groups. So a group is, if you look at this ribbon, you will see that it has two groups. You see this little divider here? So the first group is the two buttons right here, and the second group is the five here. So that's what those groups are. Um, so we're gonna create a group, one for each. Again, same thing. You cannot have the same thing. So if you put in the name that already exists, it's gonna let you know. And then for each group, you have to come up with the buttons. So the buttons have to be preset. This is a drop down. I'm gonna double click here, or you can get the same screen if you click this one right here. So what this is where you name your buttons, give them labels, and tell the app which macro is assigned to the button. So as far as I know, there's no way to assign a procedure here. If you want to run a procedure behind a button, you have to still create a macro which is going to run that procedure. So there's no way to actually put a procedure name here, not that I know of. So before you come to the screen, you should have your icon, the button image, not the icon, and the macro, um, because otherwise you won't be able to create the button. So a few words for the images. It probably can be something other than BMP, which is all my buttons are BMPs because I know for sure that that's accepted. It probably accepts also JPG or something else, but I don't want to play around with it. For me, it's just easier to do them all as BMP and not think about it. And the size has to be around 48, 58, 68, so like 60 by 40. Ideally, it should be square. Excuse me. Ideally, it should be a square, but it doesn't have to be. Like if you do 58 by 40, you're gonna be good to go. Maybe just not gonna look as nice. Um, but then again, at this size, you really can't tell. In any case, so let's create a new button. Again, you see a prefix with BTN, and same thing, no spaces, but the spaces will be removed if you try to add them. So let's create a test one. Actually, we already have a test. So this can have spaces or whatever. This is what the user will see. And this right here, so this form scans the app to see what macros you have, and it shows them to you on a drop down. So let's just use one of the drop downs that I already have. And now we have to attach an image. You do that by double clicking. So this screen right here is a access screen. I'm not sure that I'm able to, because I really wanted to um um limit one image per button. I also wanted to limit the format, but I'm not sure that I'm able to. So this is one part where you just have to remember not to make mistakes. So you attach by doing this, and we're gonna attach button. We'll take a BMP. But problem is that now if you wanted to attach another one, it's gonna let you. And it's gonna let you to attach any format over here. So here you just have to remember that it has to be a BMP and it has to be one image per they cannot be more than one here. So if you, let's say if you attached ICO format over here, it's gonna let you, and it's gonna let you create the ribbon, but then once you restart your app and the ribbon is actually assigned, you're gonna get an error. So again, just using BMPs is the um easiest thing to do. Or you could play around and see what else it will accept. So now you have your test button, and you could assign it over here, and we're gonna assign a few more. And oh, another thing is you cannot have the same button in the same ribbon more than once. So if for some reason you want to use the same button image on a ribbon more than once, but each button is gonna do something else, like for example, I can't come up with a good example, but who knows? You could do that. You just have to go back here and let's say if I wanted to have another button with this image, but it will do something else. You just create another button with the same image, and but you give it another name, and then you can have it. But selecting the same button more than once, not allowed. So I'm gonna show you what happens. I try to select this twice, and it's not gonna let you because you can only have it once. So now the last thing on here is the sorts. You do not have to put anything here, and then they're gonna be sorted in the order that you put them in. But if you wanted this to go first and this to go second, you could do that. Same thing here, same thing in buttons. That's it. Then you click this, and the ribbon was created. If you want to, so if you click on the ribbon XMLs, and this is just for information, the screen, don't change anything on the screen because every time you click that button, it's going to get overwritten. So this just shows you what code was created using the settings that we just put in. So everything that we're doing on the other screen is to avoid having to write this, and doing the buttons manually is also pretty tedious. So this saves a lot of time and effort. So this is the code that was created for the ribbon, and this is what's going to be used in the ribbon. The only thing is you cannot um, you have to restart the app before this ribbon is actually going to show up. If I try to assign it to a form right now, and let's do that. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. I guess it does work right away. It's a little glitchy. Sometimes it doesn't, but okay, in any case, and I guess things are easier. So, and a few more things on the ribbons. So, I also have this right here, and what this does is it pulls every form in your application, and here you could assign the ribbons. So this just saves you, if you have a lot of forms, having to go into each form in the design view, go into the other tab, then choosing the ribbon, saving and closing. You do that 20 times, and this is when you get to appreciate this screen. So here you can actually select your ribbons, and once you're done, you click assign ribbons, and it's gonna do all that stuff for you. It's gonna open them a design view, and save and assign the ribbon and save. I want to show you one more thing in that screen. So you see the ribbon for admins and ribbon for users. So some developers have this setup when they distribute their apps. Um, they distribute two files, so ACCDE files usually. One of them is a admin version, and the other one is a user version. And the admin version will have ribbons that the user doesn't have. So this is what this is for. Um, you would select here for each form two ribbons, for the admin and for the user. Most of the time they're going to be the same, but for some forms they might be different. And then what happens is that later on there's another button there where you publish it to ACCDE, and what's going to happen is that the user ACCDE is going to get these ribbons and the admin is going to get these. Um, what I do instead though, um, I look at the user type and I just assign the ribbon right before opening the form. But again, some people use this setup, so this is why the second one is useful. But by default, if you don't have this setup, this is where you would select your ribbons and they will get assigned. And this button right here, if you wanted to refresh the forms, though it refreshes on open, I'm not sure. Well, I guess if you design something in the background and then you come back and you want to refresh. That's it for the ribbons.